Thank you very much for coming. Today we are launching a new MERI report, a detailed policy report that is an outcome of extensive research over the last few months on al-Shaabi and the future of Iraq. And the title says, as it says, the al-Shaabi in Iraq, Subnationalism and State. We are urging the decision makers and policy makers to capitalize on the gains made against ISIS, on the current popularity of Iraqi government in dealing with both al-Shaabi and the issues that are arising from it. We are urging every stakeholder to come up with a new vision, a new strategy that in the long term reintegrates al-Shaabi into the Iraqi command and control Iraqi system of security and defense, and they should initiate a major reform in those sectors too. So we have recommendations proposed to both Iraqi government, Kurdistan government, Iran, Turkey, the United States and the allies who are part of this process. We are warning that if they do not do this now and as soon as possible, in the short and the intermediate term, they will face huge barriers, huge challenges, huge problems that will be more difficult to solve. So at the moment, we have detailed recommendations for each stakeholder or policymaker, and we would like them engaged in a process that would secure security and stability in Iraq and in the region, because Iraq's internal unity between people, between institutions, and Iraq's process of state building is key to its survival and its functionality in the short and long term. And here I'd like to bring in my colleague, Dave Van Zunen, who is one of the key researchers, played a major role along with Dr. Dylan O'Driscoll, both of whom led this process, along with Kag Khogir Wiria, who jointly carried out a lot of these interviews and held them in the process. Please, Dave.
I will add to what Dr. Blauer was already saying, that first of all, the report recognizes the important role the al-Shaabi has played in first stopping ISIS' advance and later also rolling it back. They have been incredibly important in the defeat of ISIS, but our report, our research raises questions as to what the future of the PMF should be, of these sub-state armed groups. How do they impact the functionality and the viability of the Iraqi state in the long term? Those are the questions that we raise and that we answer in this report. Essentially, we use theories of nationalism and what nationalism is to explain that the presence of these groups in Iraq leads to the entrenchment of subnationalisms that pertain to one particular group and not the state as a whole or the community as a whole. This is problematic because it damages the ability of the Iraqi state to consolidate control over its territory, but also to consolidate democracy. As these groups emerge and the subnationalism they adhere to leads to loyalty away from the state and towards particular leaders or towards particular political parties. And this is problematic for the development of democracy in Iraq. It also undermines the legitimacy of the government, as these groups fulfill roles that are normally ascribed to that of the state. So when they provide security, when they provide public services, as they have done, they have played a very important role in Iraq. But as they fulfill these positions and fulfill these roles, they undermine the legitimacy of the government as they gain it. And this is problematic for the future. Of course, this is not a new problem to Iraq. And there have been previous attempts to curb the influence or the role and to improve the state-building process of Iraq. However, there were failures there in 2004 and later in 2008 and 2009, and the report also looks at what kind of factors led to the failures in those efforts, and then concludes that many of the factors leading to the failures there are still present in today's circumstances and in today's environment. So what the report essentially does is it maps out a long-term process, think of about 5 years, in which the first couple of years are dedicated to creating an environment in which the total incorporation of these militias can take place. We feel that there need to be significant progress made in the areas of security sector reform and in national reconciliation before formal agreements with the militias can be, the sub-state armed groups can be held, so that they can be incorporated into the traditional, conventional Iraqi security forces apparatus, and either also to be reintegrated into civilian lives. The international community should help in this process as well, and we have detailed recommendations for the international community, as well as to Baghdad, the Iranian government, the Turkish government, and to the KRG.